Welcome to the Tuesday. I knew that, of course. Welcome to the Tuesday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Tuesday morning. How's it going, Mayhem Hippie? Howdy, howdy. Today, we've got to play catch up. As we kind of, lost track there yesterday. All right, let me bring up chat. Cool. I got the stream off topic too long yesterday. It's all good. It's all good, Tendera. How's it going? So I guess we should start with more positive. Um, Maybe we should start with something a little bit more positive news. Any good news? Yes, there is some slightly good news. Sorry, I'm just getting myself ready. Hey, A Bond. Howdy, howdy. So the first article that we'll go through. Hey, Mister, how's it going? Amazon workers in small New Jersey facility file for union election. This is the latest Amazon facility to file for unionization. So good on them. So good on them. Oh, really? No worries. We'll solve this issue right now. And of course, this is behind the paywall. Nonetheless, we'll see if we can get the full article. But this sounds already like a step in the right direction. I hope unionization efforts continue. The Amazon unions are doing so well that the next plan was to have Chris Smalls on Tucker Carlson. What? Did he actually invite him? To stir up the left and try to resent allies? Like, did he... What? Did he actually go on Tucker Carlson's? Oh, that's a good meme. That's a good meme. Tucker wanted him to talk shit about AOC, but Chris is dedicated to talking about the unions. Nice. That's great. Brilliant. Is there a clip on that we could watch? I mean, like, at least briefly, because, well, you know, we don't want to get clapped for DMCA. Hold on, folks. Give me one moment. Thank you.
Sandy Cortez spends a lot of time telling you that she's on the side of the worker. She's like a modern wobbly. She's the Walter Reuther of our day. And that's why last year she vowed to stand
Jesus.
alongside striking workers at Amazon's Staten Island warehouse. And we're for that because they need the help. But at the last minute, Sandy Cortez bailed on the whole thing. And that infuriated labor organizers who just won a big vote to unionize at the Staten Island facility. Now, Amazon is stepping up its effort to crush the union. Amazon has just banned words like union on its employee chat app. Christian Smalls is in a...
Now, hold on. First of all, I love the picture that they decide to use for AOC. Second of all, they didn't ban those words. We went over this article. So yeah, they made a test run of a proposed social media for Amazon workers that just happened to include those initial test runs. They didn't deploy this for production. One could argue maybe because it was leaked and the backlash, so they decided to scrap it. But no. So just to be very, very clear, I think that this is great because maybe he got some working class Republicans to change their minds. I don't think so. The ultimate stuck duck face, true. We'll get to that in a second, Elio.
Union leader at Amazon, and we're happy to have him join us now. Christian, thanks so much for coming on. So were you surprised that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who has said repeatedly that she's on the side of the...
Tucky, buddy, weren't you just calling her Sandy? Why? What's the problem?
The worker against the corporation wasn't standing with you at the barricades.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't just her. It was all of them pretty much. It's not
fair.
Yeah. I don't want it to make it just between us and AOC because a lot of them didn't show up, and once again, we have no ill will against them. We know that whether they showed up or not, they didn't make or break our election. We just had to continue to organize.
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird moment because, I mean, I'm on the right. I've never been particularly pro-union, but it does seem like Amazon needs some counterbalance. Like, it's this huge company. The workers have no power, and maybe we could, I don't know, share a little power with people who work there. So that's my view anyway. So tell us where you are in your organization.
So square me that circle. He's not pro-union, but he is pro-union. What? Didn't he, make a whole shtick about how he's some type of populist for the workers? Like, faux populism? Like, isn't that kind of giving away the game right there? Why do they call her that? Is there something, racist behind it? I don't know. It's just weird. That's his right-wing side. It's racist for sure. Probably. I don't know. Why was Cortez being dragged? Because she didn't appear at the I think union thing or whatnot. Wait, how do people buy this? Didn't he create a whole persona? Isn't the whole point of Tucker that he's some type of populist? That he's supposed to be about the working class? It just goes to show that he really doesn't give a shit. So Blue Tucker's cover of just wanting to shit on AOC? Yep. Chris was quick to say no congressperson showed up, not just her. That was masterful. That was masterful.
Efforts.
Well, right now, we're fighting for a contract. Amazon's disputing their election results. So we're in walking and chewing bubble gum at the same time. We're fighting for a contract. We're preparing for another election in 2 weeks on April 25th. We're going to be voting at a second location directly across the building that we just unionized.
Nice.
So we're in the thick of a fight right now, a legal battle. And, we just have to stay grounded and pretty much begin our campaign all over again.
You'd think that Amazon would be open to a union, wouldn't you? It's a very progressive company. Why do you think they're trying to thwart you from organizing?
Amazon hasn't been unionized in this country since the beginning.
Amazon is not progressive. It's a company. By definition, it is not. It is a company. It doesn't give a shit. It only cares about profit.
Of its existence, and they're very anti-union. You know,
Yeah.
they created a system that hires and fire people. They created a system that they have full control of the working people, and you know, having a union obviously brings representation for the workers that'll benefit the workers at the bottom, like myself, hourly associates, entry-level workers that don't get the right to negotiate. So forming a union gives us the right to collective bargain with the company, form a contract to protect ourselves. So that's exactly what we're trying to do with the Amazon Labor Union. We're hoping that we'll be a catalyst for something that'll take place nationwide.
Well, I certainly am rooting for you. I mean, maybe if they throw some more woke slogans at you, you'll forget you can't feed your family.
Right.
Chris, I appreciate your coming on. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Oof, sorry about that. Yeah, Amazon is not progressive. Sorry if notification came very late, but I have arrived on your great stream. Thank you so much, I appreciate that. Welcome. Yeah, this is a good meme. Nice try. So to piggyback off that, the first good story Amazon workers at a small facility in New Jersey have shown enough interest to hold a vote unionizing. The U.S. National Labor Relations Board said on Monday at least 60 of the 200 workers from Amazon DNK5 Depot in Bayonne, New Jersey, have submitted cards seeking to organize as part of Local 713 International Brotherhood of the Trade Union. The news follows growing interest in organizing at Amazon, which for years has resisted unions in its U.S. operations. I love how it has to qualify in its U.S. operations because I don't think it could do that anywhere else. Tucker's so bad at pretending to be pro-union. Yeah, he said it at the beginning. He's not pro-union. That's like one of the first sentences that came out of his mouth. He's not pro-union. He's not pro-worker. He doesn't give a shit. He is a multi-millionaire. He does not care. I don't know why people buy this, like, faux populist stuff. Yeah, uber rich person is for the workers. Yeah, okay, buddy. No. The only thing he cares about is what amount is his check is what amount his check is going to be for that month. Just last month, thousands of employers at the JFK 8 warehouse in Staten Island voted to organize under a different group known as the Amazon Labor Union, and workers at a second Staten Island warehouse are weighing later this month whether to unionize. An election date and terms have yet to be agreed upon for the delivery station DNK5. Amazon could dispute the validity of this latest petition. Of course it will. The company did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Well, I hope they, I hope they win that union vote. I hope they win that union vote. Amazon workers need all the support they can get. True. Biden will make a decision about canceling student debt or extend the payment pause again before August. When is the midterms again? The midterms are this November, right? I'm just saying. Just forgive it, and just forgive the student that you campaign pandering liar. It's all you promised. True. We're being the whole carrot and stick kind of deal. I mean, if there's no action between now and August, millions of student federal loan borrowers just got an additional 4-month reprieve for making payments, and the White House indicated more relief will be coming. Between now and August 31st, it's either going to be extended again or we're going to make a decision. Wait. Yeah, this seems like the excuse is already being built in, right? Because it's going to be, well, we looked into it and we can't do it, right? I mean, yeah. Between now and August 31st, it's either going to be extended again or we're going to make a decision, as Ron Klain referenced about canceling student debt. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki told Pod Save America. That's still a thing. Last week, Klain President Joe Biden's chief of staff told the same podcast in March that leading up to the prior May 1 payment restart date, the president would either extend the pause again, which he did, or decide how he can act on student debt using executive action. 2 weeks ago, Biden announced his 4th extension of the student loan payment pause, with waived interest through August 31st, and while the announcement contained no mention of broad student loan forgiveness, many Democratic lawmakers and advocates are hoping that the next step the president will take will be address the growing $1.7 trillion crisis. They have proven they can do it by pushing it back over and over. Yeah, I mean, like, pushing deadlines is not the same as, like, relief, but clearly they can take more action should they want. The apathetic and Republicans and Twitch loves to badmouth Biden. He's not Bernie. Yeah, but remember, we were sold. You have to remember that, first of all, he's the president, right? So, like, he's the face of all of this. He needs to show what he's willing to do for the people. It was part of his platform. So don't promise things you can't, don't write checks that you can't cash, right? You should be bashing Biden. He has done nothing but take his campaign promises, what we got for voting blue. And now the Democrats robbed us while coddling us. Yeah, I wouldn't say, like, I think it's just like a matter of incompetence, really. It's just a matter of incompetence. Did Biden say he would cancel student debt in the presidency debates? I think that was part of his platform, wasn't it? Up to 10K. Okay. Yeah, so that's part of the campaign promise. Like, that's not really bashing Biden for asking to deliver on his promises, right? Like, just to be clear. A memo for the record. The Dems wanted to dump Trump, so the Dems overpromised. Yeah, that sounds like a them problem. Wait, that sounds like a gross miscalculation from the Democratic Party. Wait, no. That's not how you do things. Like, how do you expect, if you overpromise things just to get elected, what do you think is going to happen? People are going to not believe you, okay? People are not going to believe you. And you know what happens? They stop voting for you. He lied a lot about of things, but he also at the same time said nothing would fundamentally change. Yeah, that's true. Like, we can't be mad. Yeah, like, we can't be mad that this dude literally said nothing's going to change. Anyways, the TLDR is, we're trying to collect on a promise. We've got midterms in 6 months. Less than 6 months. Well, about 6 months. I'm just saying. And while both Democratic and Republican lawmakers were critical of the additional relief, the GOP did not want another extension and Democrats wanted a longer one. Some leading lawmakers are appearing optimistic about what might be next. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said during a virtual summit last week that he has talked to Biden frequently about student debt relief, and those conversations are making an impact. We are working on it. We're making progress, folks. We're making progress. Okay. Well, we need legislation, my dude. Like, you telling us that it's coming isn't good enough. Over the past month, the messaging from the White House on student debt relief has remained fairly consistent. Psaki told reporters on numerous occasions that if Congress sends Biden a bill to cancel student debt, he will happily sign it. But earlier this month, she noted that Biden has not ruled out using executive actions to cancel student debt. Even so, it appears unlikely that Biden will wipe out the whole student debt load if he chooses to use his authority. Psaki told Fox News last week that she suspects borrowers will have to make payments at some time during the Biden administration, dashing many Democrats' hope of full cancellation. But I don't think he promised full cancellation. There's so many things that he could do right now that would help the Dems win, but he won't. Yeah, that's the problem. That's why we're angry. That's why we're frustrated. But at this point, lawmakers just want to see progress made. Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren, who championed $50,000 debt cancellation proposal, was one of nearly 100 lawmakers who recently called on Biden to cancel a meaningful amount of student debt. She recently told Insider the president has clear legal authority to cancel. I don't know about that. I don't know if it's clear, but I believe that there are certain things that he could take. There are certain steps that he can take. But he has the clear legal authority to cancel student debt, and it's long past time for him to act on meaningful loan forgiveness. The TLDR is, you gotta keep the pressure up. For so many, yeah, but you just told me not to bash Biden, even though Campaign for Change and took advantage of the progressive voters have a right to be mad at Biden as a joke. He isn't even a true Democrat, he's a centrist with a turncoat Republican as a VP. The Democratic National Committee has its own point of view that Twitch and Twitter people do not agree. Yeah, I mean, like, you mean the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party has a different view than the voters? I mean, yeah. if President Biden decides to actually do something about this student debt, that will be a net positive. That will be a net positive, and it will be something that the Democratic Party can show voters. I can't tell anyone what to do, but I'm worried that too much Biden bashing may lead to the same view as Carter. That's a him problem. Like, just to be clear, he's the president right now, right? So he should do something right now. Like, I think you're conflating Biden bashing with holding him accountable for the stuff that he said. Like, what? I remember there was a list of 100 things Biden could do in his first 100 days that we asked for, and his administration received the letter, and he's never done any of it. Yeah. Yeah, like, dude, if you're not going to do any of this, then don't talk about it. Easy peasy. And let's see if it is true. Maybe the old centrist was not right for the job, and the DNC shoved them down our throats because they're scared of true progressives. Yeah, I don't know. Right, so all politicians should be held accountable. Great. So Biden had promised to take action on student debt. That's literally what we're doing. What we're talking about here. Yeah, so basically we want to see him take action on what he said. That's it. And if he can't do that, then people are not going to vote for him. Like, why would you be energized about a party? Because the whole premise, that the reason why people got out and voted was on the back of things like relieving student debt. I wonder if that's a campaign tactic. What? Promising the world to get people to vote for you? People said Obama overpromised. Yeah, and look what happened. Look what happened. People got disillusioned. If you're not upfront with people, people get disillusioned. It depresses the turnout. Like, do you see why we're having an issue? The DNC and RNC have agreed to gridlock the American voting system from evolving. That's why the 13% national vote requirement was agreed upon. Oh, for multiple parties? Yeah, no, this is... Yeah, but like the whole point is that if you win on a pseudo, like, because like let's just use the Obama example, right? Obama won on the back of a decently, like, it was moving, it was crossing over into an area. It was crossing over into an area where one could say, well, man, this guy is a little bit progressive. I mean, he's moving in that direction, and he got monumental support, right? He got monumental support because of those policies. And when none of those materialized, what happened? But Biden's better than Trump? Yeah, we know that. That's not the argument. Of course. That's not the argument. Obama ran on change, right? Obama ran on hope and change, right? And on, well, pretty progressive policies. I mean, for the country, anyways, it was pretty progressive in taking into consideration, right? Just in the context of American politics, it was pretty progressive. It got overwhelming support. And then nothing actually happened. And you know what happened after that? People just didn't people just didn't show up. It's interesting this is brought up again, as Destiny brought this up during the election, as Bernie Sanders brought it up, and the problem was that, though, it is popular to do lots of young people don't vote. I didn't talk about young people. I didn't talk about any demographics. So really, unlike saying anti-abortionist, people who want all this progressive stuff are not a body the Democrats rely on. I'm not sure what that means. Really, I think if you want progressive politics, you stop trying to turn the centrist Dems into a left-wing party. Well, like, that's the thing. What other choice is there? It would be better to just start a liberal party and push through the progressive politics that way, especially if you take key Republican and Democrat seats. If you offer an alternative, people will vote. Just look at the Union victory. What? No, that's not how this works. No. That's not how this works at all. They did that with the Green Party and the Independent Party, but they could never gain traction. The closest was Bob Dole. Yeah, like that's not feasible. That's not a realistic strategy. The only thing that you can do is if there are progressive candidates that are primarying folks, then that's where you can exercise a little bit more electoral power. Is it safe to say that Trump is a consequence of all past failures and false promises? I think that at some point, we have to come to crossroads. And thank you for the biddies, Ali. I appreciate that. Um, because, and just to be clear, this isn't like just solely on the, this isn't solely on the Democratic Party, right? The failures that have, the results of all the failures of incompetent administration after incompetent administration. Well, at some point, something's got to give, right? At some point, people will get tired of it. And then some clown comes around, like Trump, and people believe him. Anyone who runs on a third-party ticket, no matter what side on the aisle they file on, is usually ignored by the main media and slandered by both parties. It's a rigged game from the get-go. It's nothing but a false hope unless we do something about it. Yeah, like you need to do ballot initiatives to get things like ranked choice voting. Saying it diluted the vote. Said who? Who said that? One of the two major parties? Do votes matter or not? I think that I think that if you have the capability of voting, you should. I think it's a tool in the toolbox. Might as well accept defeat and not vote if you're not patient. As the Fabian Society was formed in 1899 and didn't see government until 1945. Really, the problem is people have an internet lack of patience, and all you have to do is look at the democratic socialist politics in Nevada to see how it works. Started in the mid-1980s and paid off today. Well, yeah, I mean, sure. We can say that, you know, this is a long-term kind of deal. I understand it's a long-term goal. Accepting defeat is accepting the status quo is just the way it is. I don't think so. I don't think so. I think you should go vote. Always go vote. It's easier to take your right-hand voice if you're not using it. Right. Yeah, like if you have the ability to vote, you should. I don't see why not. It's a tool that shouldn't be ceded. In order for you to have a healthy democracy, you need to have strong institutions. You need to have transparency. And you need to have inclusivity. People need to participate. If not, it doesn't work. I'm running Hunter Biden / a bag of cocaine for 2024. Nice. Who's JD Vance? Gotcha. You're better not knowing who that is. Well, I'm curious now. He's cringe on the utmost levels. Yeesh. Are you feeling okay? Drink water? Yeah, I'm feeling very sniffly. Very sniffly. Oh, I look very pale. That's probably the camera, to be quite frank. Do you work today? Unfortunately. Unfortunately. Take a day if you can. I think well, I'm off Friday, and I'm off Monday and Tuesday, but that's gonna be a whole other thing. I found out who he is because he has a horrible campaign ad. Sheesh. Send me the links for that leaked DMs. Spread it forward. How's it going? What happened to your old cam? The old cam is packed away. The old cam is packed away. I'm using like a backup webcam. I'm not even in my usual setup, so we're working with the technology that we have. Let's just say that JD Vance has the strongest endorsement of Trump. That's hilarious. Alright, so TLDR. Biden should keep his promise. That's what this whole argument was about. Biden should be held accountable for the words that he says, period. All right. Damn. What a spineless coward. What a spineless coward. Not surprised if Trump's rise, and I think that the entire party only has itself to blame, whether we like it or not, the party of lower income, lower education white people, and I've been saying it for a long time. And we need to offer something, those people something, and hell, maybe even expand our appeal to working class black people in the process, or a demagogue would. We are now at that point. Trump is the fruit of the party's collective neglect. I go back and forth between thinking Trump is a cynical asshole like Nixon, who wouldn't be that bad and might even prove useful, or that he's America's Hitler. How's that for discouraging? He could be both, you know? The spineless cowards are the Republicans who continue to vote for these people. Yeah, I mean... Well, after seeing this... Can't wait for him to be the new name they chant to lock up at Trump's rallies. That's hilarious. If it wasn't so dystopic. Nixon resigned, Trump never will. Yeah, but he's just as... Well, I don't know. I don't know who's worse, to be honest. Anyways, good meme. So this happened.
You saw in the clip there, if you want to optimize and take it to another level, expose yourself to red light therapy.
Yes.
And the Juve that we were using in the documentary. You saw in the clip there, if you want to optimize and take it to another level, expose yourself to red light therapy.
Yes.
And the Juve that we were using in the documentary. There's a massive amount
Which
of
is testicle tanning.
It's testicle tanning, but it's also full body red light therapy, which has massive amount of benefits. And there's so much data out there that isn't being picked up on or covered.
So obviously half the viewers right now are like, what? That's testicle tanning? That's crazy. But my view is, okay, testosterone levels crash and nobody says anything about it. That's crazy. So why is it crazy to seek solutions?
It's not crazy to seek solutions. And I think I was recently exposed to a term called bromeopathy. And I think there's a lot of people out there right now that don't trust the mainstream information, and they're taking, you saw in the clip there.
This actually happened. This was my early morning news about peed myself. I would not confuse Hitler with American politicians yet. No, I think that it's interesting coming from a Republican It's interesting that he made that comment as a Republican candidate who has the endorsement. It's almost like every time they say one thing, they always mean the opposite. Can we see some data or sources from these scientists who are so concerned with testosterone levels, they're making claims without any substance? Because there probably isn't any. I mean, the dude literally said it's bromeopathy, right? It's just nonsense from the get-go. They're making claims without any substance. Yeah, there's nothing to see here in terms of like actual legitimate facts here. They're literally not providing. They're just making stuff up. They're literally just making stuff up. Because they're trying to appeal to very insecure people. Because why would you be searching for ways searching for ways to fix your T levels that that there's no problem with, right? Why are you searching to solutions that problems allegedly don't exist, right? Because yeah. This is just a massive self-report. There are people you can see for this, like real doctors. Like, there's no shame, you know? There are legitimate people you can talk to about this kind of stuff. Guaranteed, you do not need Tucker Carlson. Anyways, this is a good meme. I just thought it was hilarious. Natural selection kicking in. Listen, if that's what you want to expose yourself to, that's on you. Just to be clear, that's you shouldn't do that, okay? Whatever this guy's proposing about tanning your testicles, it's not true, okay? That was your PSA. I think what we have here is a bit of truth wrapped in an over dramatic, sensationalized political propaganda. Testosterone levels and sperm counts have dropped across the board for men of all ages over the past 40 years slightly, but to make it seem like it's the end of men is being light on hyperbole. Yeah, and it's also like, okay, then you have to ask yourself, well, why? And does it matter? Like, what is the implications? Like, clearly there's not like some existential problem happening, right? So, yeah. Another PSA. Checked levels checked as a man. Prostate cancer kills y'all. True. And don't listen to people who use terms like bromeopathy. Bromeopathy? Yeah, there you go. And don't listen to people who use terms like bromeopathy. Bromeopathy. Correct. Republican bromeopathers? Bromeopathers? Yeah, whatever. I'm making up words. Are not doctors. That's true. Alright, folks. Moving on to some actual stuff. Suing over climate change, taking fossil fuel companies to court. If climate change was a disaster film, it would likely be accused of being too over the top. Wildfires reducing entire towns to ashes. I mean, hurricane swamping cities, drought straining lakes, and withering fields. Whoa. Withering fields and raging oceans redrawing the very maps of our coasts. And now many cities and states are asking, who's going to pay for all this? What do you mean, who's going to pay for all this? This is real. We're on the front line of climate change right here in Charleston, said John Tecklenburg, the mayor of Charleston, South Carolina. The city's been battered by an endless parade of floods due to sea level rise. Some desperate homeowners have resorted to raising their homes by several feet. In the next 50 years, we'll see another 2 to 3 feet of sea level rise. The water is our greatest asset. It also has become our biggest challenge. Yeah, I mean, 50 years, that's, well, that's within our lifetime. Yeah? My taxes, true. So the city is raising large parts of its existing seawall, which means that the first ones have failed? Oh, okay. And the Army Corps of Engineers say Charleston should build another 8 miles of wall. The city expects an estimated $3 billion in climate change related costs. That's just one city alone. $3 billion on just one city alone. I don't really see much discussion on this last point in circles like ours. Yeah, I mean, I think we understand that, there's the way we got here as well, obviously, based on what happened before us, prior to us, right? So, yeah, unfortunately, every generation's job should be to be better. I don't mind my taxes going to funding that can help cities, but I would like to see changes on actually combating climate change, not just fixing a problem I'm not mainly responsible for. Well, yeah, I mean, going towards the root of the problem, yeah. This is just one city alone. Correspondent Ben Tracy asks, can you raise taxes high enough to cover these costs? It's like any big project, you gotta look under every rock. Underneath one of those rocks are fossil fuel companies. Well, yeah, no kidding. No kidding. Wait. They should be like numero uno. They should be like number one. Study after study has shown that these companies' carbon emissions from oil, coal, and gas are major contributors to climate change. True. Charleston is just one of more than 24 cities, counties, and states that are suing these companies, including ExxonMobil, Shell, Chevron, BP, and ConocoPhillips. I feel if you've contributed to the problem, then you should contribute to the solution. So in some ways, what a dishonest question. What a dishonest question. So in some ways, it's a bit of a money grab. That there's a negative implication here. There's like a negative connotation. It's a money grab. would you say that the company's responsible? Like, let's say there was a petrochemical company that was responsible for pollution that downstream caused people to get cancer, and those people got together and made a collective lawsuit against the company because they figured they made the connection between the company's pollution and the cancer. Would you honestly tell me that that would be a cash grab, like a money grab? Would you honestly tell me that that's going to be a money grab? Would you tell me that the big tobacco cases were all just one big money grab? Would you honestly tell me that the collective lawsuits of against big tobacco was would be characterized as a money grab? That's very, very dishonest. Well, to the extent that they participated in what created this need, it's a money grab because there's some responsibility for what happened. That's the wrong answer. Why would you even see that? Why would you even respond that way? Jesus. I'm like, no, it's not a money grab any less than it was a money grab for a collective lawsuit against big tobacco. Fuck off. The suits are modeled after big tobacco cases of the 90s and accused the companies and industry groups of making false and misleading claims about climate change. This is an ad from the 90s. Who told you the earth was warming? Chicken Little? Who's Aaron Brockovich? Hold on, I need to look this up. Yeah, I see now. Is an American legal clerk and consumer advocate and environmental activist who, despite her lack of education in law, was instrumental in building the legal case against PG&E involving groundwater contamination in a town in California with the help of attorney Ed Macery. Yeah, okay. I see. Right. Tell these folks who like suffered all this damages by companies. A cash grab. Julia Roberts played her in a movie. What? There's a movie? Wait, which movie? Her name? I need to watch this movie. She's a major player in suing companies on behalf of citizens. PG&E was poisoning communities in mass amounts. Yeah, like this was happening in the 90s, right? Aaron Brockovich, okay. And yet somehow this company is still allowed to operate in 2022. Jesus. After being responsible for several wildfires as well, because of faulty equipment, because they refused to service it. If there was ever a case study as to why, as to any company being nationalized, holy yikes. William Tung, Attorney General for Connecticut, said, "I'm suing ExxonMobil because they lied to us." Tung is suing ExxonMobil under the state's consumer protection law. He said internal company research done by ExxonMobil, which used to be separate companies, Exxon and Mobil, which used to be separate companies, show that they were aware of dangers of climate change since at least the 80s. There's a study from 1982, in which they produce a chart that shows as the levels of carbon dioxide rise, the temperature of our atmosphere will rise, and that chart is almost exactly right. The suit also cites a 1988 internal draft memo from an Exxon spokesperson advising the company to emphasize the uncertainty of climate science. He points to ads. Oh, sorry. This is a strategy from ExxonMobil that basically says, let's lie, let's say the science is not clear, and let's downplay the fact of climate change. Right, which recently they came out saying that, yeah, so what? It's our First Amendment right. He points to ads that look like editorials from ExxonMobil, as well as their executives' own words, including a 1996 statement by Lee Raymond, the then CEO of Exxon, that the scientific evidence remains inconclusive as to whether human activities affect the global climate. Tracy has some of these internal memos from the company acknowledged uncertainty about this. Does that strengthen the company's argument that this is not settled science? No, it doesn't, because the fact is that they knew with a fair degree of certainty that there could be serious catastrophic effects from the continued use of fossil fuels. That the fact that scientists have questions about their data is unremarkable. That's what scientists do. So your argument is even if they didn't know everything, they knew enough? Right, which is like science, right? That's literally how that works. Hey Androma, how's it going? What's this article about? Uh, Local and state governments getting together and suing fossil fuel companies. Based. True. ExxonMobil, which is named in all 24 of these lawsuits, says that the claims are baseless and without merit. Yeah, of course they would. In total, the cases accused more than 40 fossil fuel companies of a disinformation campaign. Some point to a 1992 video backed primarily by the coal industry, promoting the benefits of pumping more CO2 in the atmosphere. In it, Dr. Sherwood Itso states a doubling of CO2 content of the atmosphere will produce a tremendous greening of planet Earth. That's a good meme. And an on-camera host declares that as more and more scientists are confirming, our world is deficient in carbon dioxide. They actually made an entire documentary.
Air rises. The level rises again, then again. The 1950s. The concentration of carbon dioxide in the air is 315 parts per million. Still more fossil fuels are burned. More and more carbon dioxide is emitted into the atmosphere. More industrialization. Then more. More carbon dioxide. Then more. The year 2085. The atmospheric level of carbon dioxide has doubled to 540 parts per million. What kind of world have we created?
Yeah, more CO2 equals more trees.
A better world, a more productive world. Plants are the basis for all productivity on Earth. They're the only organisms that can utilize the sun's energy and create matter, food. And they're going to do that much more effectively, much more efficiently.
With a doubling of CO2, cotton growers can look forward to yields that are 60% and more greater than what they are at present-day levels.
For citrus, it would be a very, very positive thing.
Our world will be a much better one. In terms of plant growth, it's nothing but beneficial. We would expect a world in which crop plants would produce about 30 to 40% more than they currently are producing.
A doubling of the CO2 content of the atmosphere will produce a tremendous greening of planet Earth.
Damn. That aged like milk. So like there's no other variables exist, folks, when it comes to the planet's immensely intricate systems. There's no other variables other than trees, CO2, and oxygen. That's it. This is like a child's understanding of how this works. And obviously a massive leap in logic. Well, it is a leak in logic too, but a massive leap in logic because, like, okay, so plants need CO2. The more CO2 there is, the better it is for plants. That's not taking into consideration a whole other stuff. Right, there's only exactly just one variable that factors into the flourishing of plant life on Earth. Flourishing of plant life on planet Earth, and its CO2 concentration. Right. That's a good meme. The greening of planet Earth.
Carbon dioxide is the major building block of life. Plants extract it from the atmosphere during photosynthesis and transform it into the food we need to survive. As a byproduct of this process, oxygen is released. Throughout the history of life on Earth, there has generally been much more CO2 in the atmosphere than there is today. These higher levels of carbon...
Wrong. Well, that it may be true that, at some points in our planet's history, there may have been higher levels of CO2 at that time. We are artificially moving things in such a way that it's not natural. The channel is called CO2 Science. Yeah, this documentary was made by Western Fuels Association. Yeah, this is just pure propaganda. This is pure garbage. CBS Sunday Morning reached out to several of the companies. Some responded, writing that they are working to combat climate change. Yeah. In addition, ExxonMobil and Shell said that these lawsuits do nothing to advance that goal. So what they're saying is, just let us off the hook. Accountability shouldn't be a thing. Phil Goldberg, an attorney with the Manufacturers Accountability Project, a group helping the fossil fuel industry push back against these lawsuits, told Tracy that fighting climate change requires policymaking, not lawsuits. Okay, but if you're the ones that are blocking policymaking, what? They're the ones that are blocking policymaking. They don't want policy. Tracy asked the attorneys, in some of these cases though, would say that what they're trying to do is hold these companies liable for deception. Is that fair? This is not an issue of who knew what or when or who said what. What? That's exactly. That's exactly what's at stake here. This is not an issue of who knew what or when or who said what and when. Goldberg replied, the federal government has had the very same information that they're saying that the energy companies had going back to the 1960s, 70s, and 80s. That's whataboutism. The question is, what are they going to do about it today? Richard Lazarus, who teaches environmental law at Harvard, said the scope of the problem is the one that requires really a national approach. Cities and counties and states are being the ones left with the problem when the federal government doesn't step up to the plate. Lazarus said even if the cities and states prove the fossil fuel companies deceive the public about climate change, it doesn't necessarily mean they'll win. They've done a really good job of showing that the oil and gas industry, I think, engaged in fraudulent activity. The challenge will be causation to prove that their fraudulent behavior is what prevented the US from passing laws we need to reduce those greenhouse gas emissions. So far, the industry has filed a series of motions slowing down the case. Charleston of South Carolina is bracing for a long and uncertain legal battle. Tracy asked Mayor John Tecklenburg, if you're not successful with the lawsuit, what does that mean for what you're trying to do here? We're going to try to find a way to fund improvements that we need. But I bet you have heard the phrase, hope is not a strategy. Hope springs eternal, right? But in the meantime, the water keeps rising, which is true. So I think like what's really happening here is that fossil fuel companies just refuse. They don't want to take any responsibility at all. They don't want to take any responsibility whatsoever. In fact, they want to make sure that the ball is in their court at all times. That being said, it is not a bad idea, nor would I discourage this from happening, right? They absolutely owe for all the damages that they're causing. And at this point, if they're incapable of moving to more sustainable, less polluting manners, then they shouldn't exist. We should be moving in ways that are more sustainable, less reliant on fossil fuels in whatever ways that we can, in however many ways, within the time that we have, as quickly as possible. Whatever ways are possible is what we should be doing. And if they're incapable, then you know what? Maybe that should be considered a national security issue, because clearly cities incurring billions of dollars, a single city incurring billions of dollars, imagine dozens and dozens of cities, that's tens of billions. That is unsustainable. That is not acceptable. Just from economic perspective, it's just bad practice. The fossil fuels fund wars. Yeah, I mean, they have, and certainly they are. All right, folks. It is time to continue our journey. Page 78 of the IPCC report. It is that time, folks. There are multiple pathways by which communities, nations, and world, I think this is relevant, can pursue climate resilient development. Moving towards different pathways involves confronting complex synergies and trade-offs between development pathways and the options, contested values, and interests that underpin climate mitigation and adaptation choices. Very high confidence. Climate resilient development pathways are trajectories for the pursuit of climate resilience development and navigating its complexities. Different actors, private sector, civil society, influenced by science, local and indigenous knowledge, and the media, are both active and passive in designing and navigating climate resilient development pathways. Increasing levels of warming may narrow the options and choices available for local survival and sustainable development for human societies and ecosystems. Limiting warming to Paris Agreement goals will reduce the magnitude of climate risk to which people, place, and the economy and ecosystems will have to adapt. Reconciling the costs, benefits, and trade-offs associated with adaptation, mitigation, and sustainable development interventions and how they're distributed among different populations and geographies is essential and challenging, but also creates the potential to pursue synergies that benefit human and ecological well-being. High confidence. Economic sectors and global regions are exposed to different opportunities and challenges in facilitating climate resilient development, suggesting adaptation and mitigation options should be aligned to local and regional contexts and development pathways. Very high confidence. Given their current state of development, some regions may prioritize poverty and inequality reduction and economic development over the near term as a means of building capacity for climate action and low carbon development over the long term. In contrast, developed economies with mature economies and high levels of resilience may prioritize climate action to transition their energy systems and reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Some interventions may be robust in that they are relevant to a broad range of potential development trajectories and could be deployed in a flexible manner. However, other types of interventions, such as those that are dependent upon emerging technologies, may require a specific set of enhanced enabling conditions or factors, including infrastructure, supply chains, international cooperation, and education and training that currently limit their implementation to certain settings. Notwithstanding national and regional differences, development practices that are aligned to people, prosperity, partnership, peace, and the planet, as defined in Agenda 2030, could enable more climate resilient development. High confidence. Pursuing climate resilient development involves considering a broader range of sustainable development priorities, policies, and practices, as well as enabling societal choices to accelerate and deepen their implementation. Very high confidence. Scientific assessments of climate change have traditionally framed solutions around the implementation of specific adaptation and mitigation options as mechanisms for reducing climate-related risk. They have given less attention to a fuller set of societal priorities and the role of non-climate policies, social norms, lifestyle, power relationships, and the worldviews in enabling climate action and sustainable development. Because climate resilient development involves different actors pursuing plural development trajectories in diverse contexts, the pursuit of solutions that are equitable for all requires opening the space for engagement and action to a diversity of people, institutions, forms of knowledge, and worldviews. Through inclusive modes of engagement that enhance knowledge sharing and realize the productive potential for diverse perspectives and worldviews, societies could alter institutional structures and arrangements, development process, choices, and actions that have precipitated that have precipitated dangerous climate change, constrained the achievement of SDGs, and thus limited pathways to achieving climate-resilient development. The current decade is critical to charting climate-resilient development pathways to catalyze the transformation of prevailing development practices and offer the greatest promise and potential for human well-being and planetary health. Making societal choices in arenas of engagement that open up or close down climate-resilient development pathways, system transitions, and transformational action. The top panel, which is up here, shows societal choices that lead towards green or away from red from core dimensions of climate-resilient development, people, prosperity, partnership, peace, and planet, on which sustainable development goals build. Some societal choices have mixed CRD outcomes, orange pathways, which are up here. Panel A shows that there's a narrow and closing window of opportunity to make transformational change to move towards and not away from development futures that are more climate resilient and more sustainable. The dotted line shows pathways towards the highest CRD futures are no longer available due to past and current societal changes. Yikes. Giga yikes. This panel builds on figure SPM.9 in... Oh, this is the previous IPCC report. W Working Group 2 depicting climate resilient pathways by describing how CRDPs emerge from societal choices within multiple arenas rather than solely from discrete decision points. Arenas of engagement are the settings, place, and spaces in which key actors from government, civil society, and the private sector interact to influence the nature and course of development. Societal choices, often contested, are made in these arenas through interactions between these actors. The quality of these interactions determine whether societal choices shift development towards or away from CRD. These qualities thus also characterize alternative futures resulting from different pathways along the 5 CRD dimensions. These CRD dimensions underline the close interconnectedness between biosphere and people, and the two necessarily intertwined in interactions, actions, transition, and futures. Transformative actions are urgently needed to shift systems because of the required urgency and scale of emission cuts, as well as adverse impacts of escalating climate risk, poverty, and vulnerability. The bottom panel provides examples of, in row 1, the ways of societal choices are closed down or opened up under less or more inclusive and enabling arenas of engagement. In row 2, business as usual actions that perpetuate unsustainable development versus transformative actions that foster dimensions of CRD. And 3, the role of system transitions as an element to shape CRD through fragmented system change, lock-in, and maladaptation that causes dangerous climate change through irresponsible consumption in an unequal world versus integrative system transitions that enable a safe climate, healthy ecosystems, and dignified living standards for all. Societal choices that support CRD pathways, depicted by the contrasting red and green globes, involve transformative actions that drive 5 interdependent system transitions in energy, land, ocean and ecosystems, urban and infrastructure, industry and societal systems. Marginalized groups and addressing vulnerability are at the center of efforts to chart CRDP's prospects for moving towards CRD increase when governance actors work together constructively across the arenas of engagement, and when done inclusively and synchronously, system transitions and transformational change is enabled, unlocking the productive potential of conflict that often characterizes interactions in these arenas of engagement is central to advancing human well-being and planetary health, and the window for doing so is closing rapidly. That's a good meme. This is a long-winded way of saying like, hey, so we don't know how to tell you this, but we all need to get our collective ish together, is what this is saying. Climate action and sustainable development are interdependent. Pursued in an inclusive and integrated manner, they enhance human and ecological well-being. Sustainable development is fundamental to capacity for climate action, including reductions in greenhouse gas emissions, as well as enhancing social and ecological resilience to climate change. Increasing social and gender equity is an integral part of the technological and social transition and transformation towards climate-resilient development. Such transition as societal systems reduce poverty, enable greater equity, and agency in decision-making. They often require rights-based approaches to protect the livelihoods, priorities, and survival of marginalized groups, including indigenous people, women, ethnic minorities, and children. High confidence. Conditions enabling rapid increase and innovative climate responses include experience of extreme events or climate education influence perceptions of urgency, together with the actions of catalyzing agents such as social movements and technological entrepreneurs. People who have experienced climate shocks are more likely to implement risk management measures. High confidence. Autonomous adaptation is very common in locations where people are more exposed to extreme events and have the resources and temporal capacity to act on their own, for example in remote communities. High confidence. A range of policies, practices, and enabling conditions to accelerate towards climate-resilient development. Diverse actors, including youth, women, indigenous communities, and business leaders, are the agents of societal change and transformations that enable climate-resilient development. High confidence. Greater attention to which actors benefit, fail to benefit, or are directly harmed by different types of interventions could significantly advance efforts to pursue climate-resilient developments. Medium to high confidence. Climate adaptation are grounded in local realities, so understanding links with SDG5 on gender equality ensures that adaptation actions do not worsen existing gender and other inequalities within society, leading to maladaptation practices. High confidence. Adaptation actions do not automatically have positive outcomes for gender equality. Understanding the positive and negative links of adaptation actions with gender equality goals, i.e. SDG5, is important to ensure adaptive actions do not exacerbate existing gender-based and other social inequities. Efforts are needed to change unequal power dynamics to foster inclusive decision-making for climate adaptation to have a positive impact for gender equality. High confidence. There are very few examples of successful integration of gender and other social inequities in climate policies to address climate change vulnerabilities and other questions of social justice. Very high confidence. Yet inequities in climate change literacy compounds women's vulnerability to climate change through its negative effect on climate risk perception. Gotcha. Gender-sensitive equity and justice-based adaptation. Yeah, okay, so like I think this is a long-winded way of saying like because of our the way we have like education, it is always beneficial to have as much equality when it comes to education. Like everybody should have a good understanding of what we're facing here, because the more people have access to information, the more chances are for action to be taken. Gender-sensitive equity and justice-based adaptation approaches, integration of indigenous knowledge systems within legal frameworks, and promotion of indigenous land tenure rights reduce vulnerability and increase resilience. High confidence. Integration adaptation into social protection programs can build long-term resilience to climate change. High confidence. Nevertheless, social protection programs can increase resilience to climate-related shocks even if they do not specifically address climate risks. High confidence. Climate adaptation actions are grounded in local realities, so understanding links within SDG Sustainable Development Goals is important to ensure that adaptive actions do not worsen existing gender and other inequities within society, leading to maladaptation practices. Water can either be an enabler or hindrance to successful adaptation to sustainable development. Central to equity issues about water is that it remains a public good. High confidence. Overcoming institutional and financial constraints. Governance, institutions, and policies include path dependency is among the most important requirements to enabling effective adaptation in the water sector. High confidence. Water-related challenges, despite reported adaptation efforts, indicate limits of adaptation in the absence of water-neutral mitigation actions. Water-related challenges, despite reported adaptation efforts, indicate limits of adaptation in the absence of water-neutral mitigation actions. Medium confidence. For some regions, such as small island states, coastal and mountainous regions, water availability already has the potential to become a hard limit to adaptation. Limited evidence. Medium agreement. Procedural and distributional justice and flexible institutions facilitate successful adaptation and minimize maladaptive outcomes. Reorienting existing institutions to become more flexible, example through capacity building and institutional reform. And inclusive is key to build adaptive governance systems that are equipped to take long-term decisions. Medium confidence. That's a good meme. Enhancing climate governance. Institutional capacity. As the Supreme Court gets ready to limit the EPA's ability to regulate, carbon dioxide emissions. That's a good meme. Enhancing climate governance, institutional capacity, and differentiated policies and regulation from local to global scales enables and accelerates climate resilient development. Transforming financial systems to deliver these sustainable development goals while accelerating system transitions and addressing physical and transition risks is a precondition. Changes in lifestyle, human behavior, and preferences can have a significant impact on adaptation implementation, demand, and hence emissions and decision-making around climate action. High confidence. Additionally, use of customary and traditional justice systems, such as those of indigenous people, can enhance the equity of adaptation of policy processes. High confidence. Enabling environments for adaptation that support equitable, sustainable developments are essential to for those with climate-sensitive livelihoods who are often least able to adapt and influence decision-making. High confidence. Enabling environments share common governance characteristics, including the meaningful involvement of multiple actors and assets alongside with multiple center of powers at different levels that are all well integrated vertically and horizontally. High confidence. Enabling conditions harness synergy, address moral and ethical choices and divergent values and interests, and support just approaches to livelihood transitions that do not undermine human well-being. Medium confidence. Climate solutions for health, well-being, and changing structure of communities are complex, closely interconnected, and call for new approaches to sustainable development that consider interactions between climate, human, and socio-ecological systems to generate climate-resilient development. High confidence. To address regionally specific adaptation and development needs, five key dimensions of climate-resilient developments are identified for Africa: climate finance, governance, cross-sectoral and transboundary solutions, adaptation law and climate services, and climate change literacy. High confidence. Prevailing ideologies or worldviews, institutions, and socio-political relations influence development trajectories by framing climate narratives and possibilities for action. Medium confidence. That's true. The interplay between worldviews and ethics and social-political relations, institutions, and human behavior influence public engagement by individuals and communities. These open up opportunities for meaningful engagement and co-production of pathways towards climate-resilient development. The urgency of climate action is a potential enabler for climate decision-making. Yeah. Medium confidence. perceptions of urgency encourage communities, business leaders to undertake climate adaptation mitigation measures more quickly and to prioritize climate action. Yeah, so basically you gotta light that fire. You gotta light that fire under their arse. We need to make sure that we effectively communicate the sense of urgency and the severity of the situation. That's it. A focus on climate risk alone does not enable effective climate resilience, high confidence. The integration of consideration of non-climate drivers into adaptation pathways can reduce climate impacts across food systems, human settlements, health, water, economies, and livelihoods, high confidence. Strengthened health, education, and basic social services are vital for improving population well-being and supporting climate-resilient development, high confidence. Climate-smart agriculture technologies strengthening synergies among productivity and mitigation is growing as an important adaptation strategy, high confidence. Pertinent information for farmers provided by climate information services is helping them understand the role of climate versus their role is helping them to understand the role of climate versus other drivers in perceived productivity changes, medium confidence. Index insurance builds resilience and contributes to both adaptation, both by protecting farmers' assets in the face of major climate shocks, but by promoting access to credit and the adoption of improved farm technologies and practices, high confidence. Societal resilience is strengthened by improving management of environmental resources and ecosystem health, boosting adaptive capabilities of individuals and communities to anticipate future risks and minimize them, and removing drivers of vulnerability to bring together gender justice, equity, indigenous and local knowledge systems, and adaptation planning, very high confidence. Societal resilience is founded on strengthening local democracy, empowering citizens to shape societal choices to support gender and equity inclusive climate resilient development, very high confidence. Some communities/regions are resilient with strong societal safety nets and social capital that support responses and actions already occurring, but there's limited information on the effectiveness of the adaptation practices and the scale of action needed. High confidence. Among island communities, greater insight into which drivers weaken local communities and indigenous peoples' resilience, together with recognition of the social political context within which communities operate, can assist in identifying opportunities at all scales to enhance climate adaptation and enable action towards climate resilient development pathways. Medium evidence, high agreement. Adaptation responses to climate-driven impacts in mountain regions vary significantly in terms of goals and priorities, scope, depth, and speed of implementation, governance and modes of decision-making, and the extent of financial and other resources to implement them. High confidence. Adaptation in Africa has multiple benefits, and most assessed adaptation options have medium effectiveness at reducing risk for present-day global warming, but their efficacy in the future warming levels is largely unknown. High confidence. In Australia and New Zealand, a range of incremental and transformative adaptation options and pathways is available as long as enablers are in place to implement them. High confidence. Several enablers can be used to improve adaptation outcomes and build resilience. High confidence, including better governance and legal reforms, improving justice, equity, and gender considerations, building human resource capacity, increased finance and risk transfer mechanisms, education and awareness programs, which is huge, I would say, increased access to climate information, adequately downscaled climate data, inclusion of indigenous knowledge, and integrating cultural resources into decision-making, high confidence. Identifying and advancing synergies and co-benefits of mitigation, adaptation, and SDGs has occurred slowly and unevenly, high confidence. One area of sustained effort is community-based adaptation planning that have potential to better integrate to be better integrated to enhance well-being and create synergies with SDG ambitions and leaving no one behind. High confidence. Complex trade-offs and gaps in alignment between mitigation and adaptation over scale and across policy areas where sustainable development is hindered or reversed also remain. Medium confidence. Globally, decisions about key infrastructure systems and urban expansion drive risk creation and potential action on climate change. High confidence. Indigenous knowledge and local knowledge are crucial for socio-ecological system resilience. High confidence. Indigenous peoples have been faced with adaptation challenges for centuries and have developed strategies for resilience in changing environments that can enrich and strengthen other adaptation efforts. High confidence. Supporting Indigenous self-determination and recognizing Indigenous peoples' rights and supporting Indigenous knowledge-based adaptation can accelerate effective, robust, climate-resilient development pathways. Very high confidence. Indigenous knowledge underpins successful understanding of, response to, and governance of climate change risks. High confidence. For example, Indigenous knowledge contains resource use practices and ecosystem stewardship strategies that conserve and enhance both wild and domestic biodiversity, resulting in terrestrial and aquatic ecosystems and species that are often less degraded in indigenous managed lands in other lands. Medium confidence. Valuing indigenous knowledge systems is a key component of climate justice. Ecosystem-based adaptation reduces climate risk across sectors, providing socioeconomic and health and environmental co-benefits. High confidence. Direct human dependence on ecosystem services, ecosystem health, and ecosystem protection and restoration, conservation agriculture, sustainable land management, and integrated catchment management support climate resilience. Inclusion of interdisciplinary scientific information, indigenous knowledge and practice expertise is essential to effective ecosystem-based adaptation. High confidence. And there's a risk of maladaptation where this does not happen. There's a large risk of maladaptation where this does not happen. High confidence. Ooh. Alright, folks, we made it to page 84. We're doing great. Unfortunately, that is all the time I have today. I do have to start getting myself ready for work. Folks, if you enjoyed the content, don't forget to hit the follow button. It really does help us out. Spread the word far and wide that this is the chillest place to be for the news and politics, Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Join us. This Saturday there will not be Saturday Catterday. So I apologize for that. But usually join us on Saturdays. As the following one, there will be Saturday Catterdays. There'll be a Saturday Catterday. So I appreciate all of your support. Thank you for all the follows. Thank you for the biddies. Alio, I appreciate that. And Troma, you have a good one. Thank you so much for hanging out. I appreciate that. Thank you, Spread It Forward. You are a legend. Thank you. I appreciate that. Just some quick shout outs. Before we go, make sure you check out twitch.tv/HalioShare, twitch.tv/Entroma. Please show some love to these wonderful folks. As always, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. Oh, wait. Hold on. I forgot to do my show. Go to the YouTubes, right? Go. YouTube, quick, 5 seconds. Subscribe. Do it. Join the Discord for any updates on the channel. As always, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I love y'all and I hope to see you guys in the next one. See ya. Alright, chat. We are heading out, folks. Stay with us as we raid. We're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stay with us, chat. Alright, let's go show Tina some love. See ya.